Welcome back, everyone, for our stories and journey through the Bible. Have you ever felt so frustrated, so tired, that you started complaining about the very things that were once blessings? Let's go back to the Israelites in the wilderness. They'd escaped slavery in Egypt, and God was leading them to a new home. But they had to take a long detour around the land of Edom. The journey was tough. The desert was harsh, and the people's patience wore thin. They started complaining, not just to their leader, Moses, but against God himself. They said, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt just to die out here? There's no bread, no water. We're sick of this miserable food." The miserable food they were referring to was the manna bread that miraculously appeared every day from heaven. For years, God had provided for them with a daily miracle, and now they were calling it miserable. Their gratitude had turned into grumbling, and their rebellion was about to have consequences. Suddenly, the camp was in chaos. God sent venomous snakes among them. People were being bitten, and many were dying. The complaining stopped instantly. Fear and desperation took over. The people rushed to Moses. Their tone completely changed. "We sinned," they admitted. "We spoke against the Lord and against you. Please, pray that the Lord will take these snakes away from us." Moses prayed for his people, and God answered, but his solution was strange. He told Moses, "Make a bronze snake and put it up on a pole. Anyone who is bitten can look at it and live." So Moses forged a serpent out of bronze and lifted it high on a pole in the center of the camp. And just as God had said, whenever someone was bitten by a deadly snake, if they would just look up at that bronze serpent, they were healed. They lived. Now, pause and think about this for a second. Imagine you've been bitten. The venom is coursing through your veins. You can feel your life slipping away. And someone tells you, "Just look at that metal snake on a pole over there, and you'll be fine." It sounds ridiculous, right? It defies all logic. How can looking at a bronze sculpture possibly cure a fatal snake bite? It required one simple, yet incredibly difficult thing: faith. They had to trust that God's bizarre instruction was their only hope. Those who believed, those who humbled themselves enough to obey this simple command, looked up and lived. Some thought it was foolish. Some were too proud to accept such a simple solution. They tried to find their own cure. Whatever their reason, if they refused to look, they died. It's crucial to understand. The bronze snake itself had no magical power. It wasn't an enchanted artifact. The healing didn't come from the metal or Moses' craftsmanship. The healing came directly from God. The snake on the pole was the method. He chose to deliver his grace and test their obedience. It was a physical symbol of a spiritual choice. Trust God and live, or trust your own understanding and perish. But this story doesn't end in the desert. It's a shadow, a foreshadowing of something far greater to come. Over 1,000 years later, Jesus himself would reveal its true, deeper meaning. One night, a respected religious leader named Nicodemus came to Jesus in secret. He was searching for truth, trying to understand who Jesus really was. In their conversation, Jesus said something that must have sounded just as strange to Nicodemus as the bronze snake did to the Israelites. He said, "Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, so the Son of Man must be lifted up, that everyone who believes may have eternal life in him." Then Jesus followed it up with what is now perhaps the most famous verse in the entire Bible. "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life." The bronze serpent was a picture of the cross. The Israelites were physically dying from the venom of snake bites. Humanity is spiritually dying from the venom of sin. Moses lifted up a bronze snake on a pole for all to see. Jesus was lifted up on a wooden cross for all the world to see. The Israelites had to look at the snake to be healed. We must look to Jesus to be saved. Look and live. Believe and be saved. The Israelites couldn't heal themselves. There was no herb, no antidote, no special technique that could save them from the snake venom out there in the wilderness. Their only hope was to stop trying to save themselves and simply look at what God had provided. It's the same for us. We can't save ourselves from the consequences of sin. No amount of good deeds, religious rituals, or self-improvement can cure that spiritual venom. Our only hope is to stop trying to earn our way to God and simply look to Jesus, lifted up on the cross, and trust in what he has already done for us. Currently, some might think this message is too simple. It's too easy. They want a more complicated solution, something they have to do to earn their salvation. Others might feel it's foolish or beneath them to simply trust in someone else's sacrifice. But God's way has always been simple. Look and live. Believe and be saved. Salvation isn't earned. It's a gift received by faith. There's one final, cautionary part to this story. Centuries later, the people of Israel made a terrible mistake. They had kept the bronze serpent, and over time, they forgot what it represented. They began to worship the object itself. They burned incense to it, treating it like a god. It got so bad that a good king named Hezekiah had to destroy it. The very symbol God had used for salvation had become an idol. The pointer became the point. This is a powerful warning for us. We can turn good things into idols. We can focus on the church building, the rituals, the religion itself, and completely miss the God they are meant to point us to. We can end up worshiping the cross instead of the one who died on it. But in the desert, on that day when death was everywhere, the bronze serpent was a beautiful symbol of God's grace. It was his incredible provision for a dying people. A simple, accessible way to be saved. Look and live. It's the same invitation God extends to us today through Jesus. It's always been that simple, and it's always required faith to do it. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you next time.